Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited you're here to learn about viewing and analyzing data in an app. So my name is Larissa Squires, and I'm a Customer Success Manager here over at Kintone. So before we jump into the platform, we'll review some housekeeping. You're likely listening using your computer's speaker system, but if you prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane, and the dial-in information will pop up. If you have any questions at any point, you can ask them by typing them into the questions pane of the control panel. I'll collect your questions and answer them during our Q&A session at the end. So what we'll be covering today, we're going to be reviewing filtering your data within an app, what is a view, creating a view, and then we'll go over reporting with graphs, and I'll show you how to create a graph from your app settings, create a graph within an app, and then how you can display this data to your team. So let's jump in. All right, so from an app in Kintone, you can easily start analyzing your data by creating filtered views and graphs. So here what I have open is an app for outbound leads. So each record contains contact information for a person at a specific company, a lookup field to navigate to the company's record in the outbound company's app. There's an associated sales rep, and then there's a lead status. So we're going to focus on those fields for today. So first we'll take a look at how you can filter out your record. So when you use the filter feature, you will be displayed a list of records that meet specific conditions. So what might be useful within this app is to see a list of outbound leads that are now customers. So I'll show you how to set that up. So from this record list screen of an app, we're going to click this funnel icon. So we can see here that there are no current filters within this view. So we're not filtering out anything. So under filter, we'll select a field for the specified condition, and then we'll choose the filter condition. So we will type in status and click lead status. So we want to display only customers, so we will leave it as includes any of, and then we'll select customer. So down here under sort by, you can specify the display order of the record. So if I had a customer date field, it might be helpful for me to sort by the most recent customer, but for now, we'll just keep it as is. So we'll click apply. So now you have a view of your current records within this app that have a lead status of customer. So clicking apply, it didn't save the view. If we click the filter icon again, you have the option to save the filtered view if you manage this particular app. So if you don't have permission to manage this app, you cannot save the view to the app, but we're going to save it now. So we'll call this customers. And now we have saved that view, so you can find it here in the dropdown. This is your view dropdown. So if you're not a manager of the app, but you'd like to save some views that are important to you, you can filter out for that desired view. You'll click the star icon. You can then add, and you'll name this view, and it'll be saved to your bookmarks. So that's how you can easily access your views when you're not managing the app. So now that we've created and saved a view using the filter feature, let's go into more what a view is. So a view refers to the display format of a list of records. So you can create views to view your data in each of your apps. You can create a list, a calendar, or a custom view. So a list view displays one or more fields from your form in columns. It will display just like it did after we saved the view using the filter feature. So this is a list view. You can also create a calendar view, which shows a calendar with records associated with certain days. And then lastly, there's custom views. They provide a space to enter custom HTML code, and custom views can only be created by a system administrator. So even if you can manage the app, if you're not a system administrator, you will not be able to create that custom view. So now let's review creating a view, besides with the filter feature. So although you can create views from this app, there are some great features missing from this front page. So let's go into our app settings and we'll take a look at creating views from there. So before we do that, notice the current views I have in my dropdown. When the app was first created, there was one view called All Fields. So this is just what it says. It's a default view that lists out all the records and contains all the fields in each record. So all these fields won't always be helpful. So we're going to jump into the app settings to see how we can minimize what we see in this initial default view that we get. So we're going to click the gear wheel to navigate through our app settings. So that little gear wheel, it's only going to be available to those who have permission to manage the app. We're going to go over to the Views tab. So notice here it lists out all the views we saw from the app in the same order from that drop-down. So from here, you can drag and drop your views to the order that you'd like them to display in your app. So the view on the top, this will be the view that shows when anyone clicks into the app. So please note that this default all fields view, it cannot be moved, edited, or deleted. So you may be wondering why I have an all view at the top when I have the all fields view. So let's take a look at these settings. So to edit a view, you'll click the little pencil icon to the right. So similar to creating a view from an app, you'll be able to filter and sort out records at the bottom. You can edit the name here at the top. However, there's an added feature by creating the view from app settings or by going in after and editing it. So here you'll notice it lists out all the fields here on the left, but not all the fields are over here on the right. So from here, you can drag and drop the fields that are most important to you when looking at this view. So you can choose the order too. If we wanted to add notes in, you can add that wherever we'd like. And then the reason that I created this all view, even though I have a default all fields view, is because not all of the fields are important to me. And frankly, it was just messy to look at, to see all those fields. So I created this view with only the most helpful fields that need to be seen by me and the team. And then we just won't filter out any conditions since we want to see all of the records. So let's hop out of here and take a look at what it looks like to create a brand new view. So from our Views tab, we will click the plus icon. You'll be able to name the view, and then you can select the type of view that you'd like. So I mentioned these a little bit earlier, so we'll go over this in more detail now. So for a list view, you can drag desired fields from left to right into the open space. So we'll pull a couple over here. To change the column order, drag a column to the left or right. To delete a field, you can hover over the options and click delete. And then down here under filter and sort, apply conditions to display the certain records you'd like to display and the designated order you'd like. And then when you're all set with this, you would save and you'd update your app. So now for the calendar view, you'd select calendar view. So I don't have any data in this particular record that would make sense for the calendar view, but we'll do a quick review on how this is set up. So under date field, you'll select the date field from your app. So this is the date the record will appear on in the calendar view. And then in the title field, select the field from your app to use as the record title. So this field determines the value that is displayed on the calendar. And then again, under filter and sort, you'd apply the appropriate conditions for whatever you'd like to display and the order that you'd like it to be displayed in. And then when you're all set with this, you'll save and then you'll update your app. So a great example I use for this calendar view is my customer content review app. So I filter out to show only the content that has process management status as published or scheduled. So you can filter out by a process management status. So then it displays on the calendar. I have the title field as the name of the item, and it displays on the date that it is to be published. So the date that it's going out to all you guys, that's the date it shows me on my calendar view. So I also use it in my task app so that I can see what is due on a particular day, and it just tells me, I have it displaying the title of the action that I need to take. So lastly, to customize a view with JavaScript, you'll click Custom View. So Custom Views allows you to create an advanced and flexible view. And please note that creating this custom view, it is an advanced feature that is not covered by basic Kintone support, but we do have more information in our Kintone developer network. I'll also be happy to get you in touch with one of our sales engineers to discuss any customization if you'd like to review custom views further. So now we'll hop out of here. And you can also duplicate an existing list or calendar view to create a view with the same or similar data. So we navigated back into our app. So select the view you'd like to duplicate. And then you'll click the funnel icon. If it's necessary, change the filter and sort conditions. So please note you will not have this option to save, again, if you're not an administrator of the app. And then enter the name of the new view and click OK. So duplicating is a great way if you want the view to display the same fields in the same order. Just click Filter, update the settings, and then you can save it as a new view. So for example, if I really like these fields that I have here, but I don't want to create a new view and drag and drop new ones, I can click the filter icon, change to specified conditions, and then it's going to display the same fields that I specified. And then lastly, for our view section, so exporting data. So when you need to export data, you can create a filtered view that contains the records that you want to export. So if I only wanted to export the record data on customers, I'd open up this customer view. And then when I go to export, the only data that shows in that Excel sheet are the ones that are showing in this particular view when I go to export it to a file. So next we're going to go into reporting with graphs in Kintone. So you're going to use the Graphs tab on the setting page to design graphs to visually represent and summarize your data. So graphs created are added to the list of graphs that users can view in an app. So that lives right here next to your list of views. And graphs are live and they update as the data changes. You can create up to 1,000 graphs in Kintone. So the graphs and charts that you can create are a bar and column chart, line chart, spline chart, area chart, spline area chart, pie chart, table, and then a pivot table. So there are two ways that you can create a graph. So one from the app right here, and then also one from our app settings. So first, let's take a look at how to create a graph from your app settings. So within this app, we're going to click the gear wheel. We're going to navigate to the Graphs tab. Similarly to View, here you can reorder your graphs, edit, and then delete them. So we'll click the plus icon to create a new graph. So here in the name, you're going to enter the name of your graph. So we're going to create a graph that shows us the lead statuses by sales rep. So we'll call it lead status by sales rep. Okay. So now we're going to select the chart type. So we will choose a column chart for this one. So some types have additional options, such as clustered, stacked, or 100% stacked. So you can find more details on the different chart types in our Kintone Help Center. So in the Group By field, in the Level 1 drop-down list, you'll select a field by which to group your records. So use this when you want to categorize and summarize records. So by using the date or time field, you can summarize records by month, by date, and so on. So for us, we will do Level 1 as sales rep. And then we'll add a second level for lead status. So we want to see the different leads that they have in the different lead statuses. So if you'd like to delete a level, you'll just click the X. If you want to clear the whole section, you can click Clear All. So note, if an item selected by Group By has no value, the record the item belongs to will not be included in the summary. So in the function field, you can select a function that performs the calculation. including count, sum, average, maximum, and minimum. We will keep it as count. In the filter field, you can select a field or fields to filter the graph by, similarly to setting up the view. So let's take a look at this data excluding our current customers. We just want to see those that are earlier in the pipeline. So we will say lead status does not include customers. And then in the sort by field, you can leave the default total or sort on one of the levels in the group by field and select whether to display the data ascending or descending order. So at the bottom, you can enable a periodic report. So to do this, you'll select the generate reports periodically checkbox. Then choose how often you'd like it to create the report. Depending on what is selected, you can choose a day and time as well. So periodic reports are generated automatically based on the app data at the time in the frequency defined by a user. So these graphs are saved to the list of graphs within an app, and the 30 most recent graphs are saved and can be accessed at any time. So when the 31st graph is generated, the oldest graph is going to be deleted. You cannot change the graph settings after you activate this periodic report. So since we don't need a periodic report for this instance, we will uncheck that box. Now looking at this graph, I think maybe it'd be better if we showed it as stacked. So we'll change that in the chart type. All right, graph looks good. So we're going to click Save. So notice it now populates on the Graphs tab, and then you can move the order. So when we're all ready, we'll click Update App. And then we can click the graph list to view the newly created graph from the list. So it lives right here. So next, we're going to take a look at how to create a graph within an app. So instead of from our app settings, regular end users can create graphs from their data. So from here, you're going to click the graph icon just to the right of the filter icon. So notice recommended graphs are going to populate here. So if you see one of these that you like, you can just click on the graph, make any necessary changes that you need, and then save it as a new graph, or you can just click Apply just to view it. That's again similar to what we were looking at with the view. So to create a graph from scratch from here, under Design a Graph, starting from Graph Type, select the desired type of graph. So for this one, let's create a graph that shows the distribution of customers by sales reps. So we will choose a pie chart for this. So this is the exact same thing you saw on the app settings side. The only change is you can't create a periodic report from here. So in the group by field, group by section, let's select sales rep. So you can add levels by clicking the plus and then remove. So for functions, we'll just leave it as count since we want to see the number of customers each rep has. And then in the filter field, let's limit this to only show those with a lead status that includes customer. So again, we will do lead status, includes any of customers. And then lastly, again, you can sort here at the bottom, but we won't touch this in this case. So as an end user, you can apply the graph to check it out. If you'd like to save the graph, feel free to add it to your bookmarks, just like we did for saving the view. So that's if you're an end user and you don't have the option to save this as a new graph to that specific app. So if you're an app admin, you can click Save as New Graph. Then we will name the graph. So let's name this one Customers by Sales Rep, and we will click OK. And then there we go. The graph is added to the drop-down list for graphs. So this will be available to all users. And then with duplicating a graph, you'll just open up the graph that you'd like to duplicate. Click the little graph icon, change any options if needed, and then once complete, you'd save it as a new graph. And again, just like before, we would name it. All right, so our last section is displaying data to your team. So not only can you have the data listed from this app, you can also add it to announcement boards to easily have it viewable and accessible to your entire team. So since this is data on leads, let's navigate to the sales space and we'll add it there. So only space admins are able to edit the announcement board. So we are going to click the edit icon. We'll click attach app. We're going to search for the app. So we did outbound leads. And then select a viewer graph from the drop-down. So if you notice, the graphs and views that we've created today are displayed. So let's select, we'll do this one, customer by sales rep. Click OK. You can choose the sizing that you'd like it to be. And you can edit these changes later if you need to resize it. So let's add in a view as well. So we can take a look at that, attach app. I'll leave that and we'll add this. And then also you can decide how many of these you would like to display. So we'll just keep it at 5 so it doesn't take up too much space on our announcement board. So click OK. And then we'll save. So now the data is displayed on the sales space announcement board for all space members who have permission to the app to see. So if you don't have permission, or if a certain person doesn't have permission to the specific app that you attach to your announcement board, then it's not going to display the data because they don't have permission to be in the app. So it'll just leave a little message that lets them know they don't have permission to view the data. But you can add it to the announcement board. So here's what a graph will look like here. And then this is what a list view looks like when added to your announcement board. And then you can just click the over button to take a look at the other records in that list view. So this concludes our training on viewing and analyzing data in an app. So we're now going to begin answering questions. So I'm just going to give you guys a couple minutes to ask any questions that you've had about this training. So you can come up with your questions now. All right, so it looks like we have a couple of questions. So just remember, at any time you can ask questions through the questions pane. If I don't get to you today, I will definitely send you a message after the training. So Heather Johnson, so is there any formatting capability for charts coming in the near future by chance? So I don't know if that's something that's coming down the pipeline. I haven't heard anything about it. However, I do think that that is a very popular question. So I'd be happy to push that through to our product team as a product request. So can I delete periodic reports? So you can delete the graph that has the periodic report. However, you will not have access to any of the periodic reports once it's deleted. So actually I can, in case this came up, I actually created a periodic report. Okay, so this periodic report doesn't make sense, but for the sake of showing you what a periodic report would look like. So it just has one name in the drop-down list, so you won't get bogged down with the 30 of them. So then you can choose the dates that you'd like to see the data by. So it took the snapshot. So this is all going to show the same though, you know. So in comparing, you can do that. So this is what your periodic report will look like. If you display a chart on the app screen, does it adjust as the data changes? Yes. So if you added records that apply to your filtered conditions, then it is going to display in your view or on your graph. So graphs in the views, they're live and up to date. Okay, not related to training. We use a lot of different apps within Kintone. Will we be able to order them differently moving forward? Most use at the top, etc. Okay, I think this is a fantastic feature request. So I am going to put that in, and I'll make note of who made that request. So if anybody here has requests that they'd like to push through, send them over to me. I created a form where you can submit different product requests. So the more requests that we get in, if it's the same, the more likely that the product team is going to see that. So I will put that in a request. I think that would be super helpful to be able to organize the apps displayed. Heather says, cool. All right. Let's see. How do you save a view or graph if you don't have app management permission? All right, so I'll just review quick how to actually do that, since for end users, this is a really important feature. So you'll open up the view that you'd like to save, or if you'd like to create a new view, so whatever view that you need. And then we're gonna click the star icon. You'll click plus. Actually, which one did we click? We'll go into this customer one. Okay. Click plus. You'll name it. So I'm just going to name it customer. And then save. And then anytime that you come to your bookmark, it's going to list here underneath the app. So the trick is, if you don't see it at first, it's just you got to click the drop down, and then it's going to display what you saved. So if I was to save a graph to this app, it would say record list, and then it'll list out what I saved for record list views. And then it'll say graphs, and then it'll display under there what graphs I've saved. So you know if it's a graph, and you know if it's a list view. And then lastly, why should you bookmark the views and graphs? So why can't they just be added right into the app? So those who have permission to manage the app are the only ones who can save those views for everyone to see. So there's two reasons why doing this bookmarking is beneficial. So one, if you don't have permission and you need to save a view or graph, this allows you to do it immediately. If you're working on creating a graph or a view, you can save the progress by bookmarking it. And then maybe if you're an app admin, you don't have to save it at that point. And then the second reason, too many graphs and views, it can make it a little confusing for end users. And chances are that not all of the views are going to be, the views or graphs are going to be applicable to everyone. So doing this bookmark, it allows users to save their personal views and graphs while keeping them hidden from everyone else. So I find that super helpful. We do that internally as well. All right, so it looks like that's all the questions that we have. So thank you to everyone for attending today's live training session. If you have any more questions or product feature requests, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at support@kintone.com. So you're going to receive an email in the next 24 hours with this webinar recording. It's also going to be up on our YouTube channel. So on behalf of Kintone, thank you for joining, and have a great rest of your day.